This is R.E.A.H, an AI inside the body of its own creator. You're a generic AI bro, in other words. Following a critical failure after a sudden death of a close friend, AI and humanity merged. We have no understanding of who any of these people are, so we'll try to focus on what the demo has to offer in regards to gameplay. And it's mostly good. Our target is to reach beyond the Phoenix City walls, with the main objective being to return the host body back to Warren himself. I love the art style already. We have the opportunity to both walk and jump. We're clearly being tutorialized here. That's a word, right? Love being able to learn by doing, as opposed to whatever the crap this is. Being a demo, I'll let it slide, but if this crap is in the full release, I'll be the first to complain. We have already proven our ability to follow instructions within the world using a button prompt alone. Let me continue doing so. Why first do the tutorial right, only to then go with the wall of text right after? It doesn't make any sense. Combat feels good, very Batman inspired. Yellow and white markers above their head can be countered and riposted against. The red markers cannot. Done with these fools, no issues encountered. What the hell? Alright, stealth section engaged. Traditional. Safe, but functional. Even tested the death animations, which also works well. A bit of platforming, and we're through that part as well. I'm guessing this will be a meaningful part of how the story in the full game is being told. Passively. I don't really mind it, to be honest. While the voiceovers and voice actors are great when they do work, they are increasing costs and complexity for indie developers without necessarily providing meaningful improvements in the gameplay experience. The text sets the stage for some sort of authoritarian occupation as well. There's multiple of these. You can pause the video if you'd like to read them. I tend to avoid deep dives into the story of most of the demos I play. Ahead of us lays the first platforming puzzle. I'm definitely not editing out me aimlessly wandering for minutes trying to figure out where to go. Eventually I do find that I can swing on these things in the environment. I really like where this is going. Controls feel snappy. Really satisfying. Found a crate. Down it goes. We can now use the crate to reach the hole in the wall. It's nice to see devs still adhere to the yellow tape games doctrine. The doctrine making sure gamers know where to go ever since the Uncharted series released. Crawling through the rafters and ventilation shafts, we eventually end up in our next combat area. This time we are introduced to ranged units shooting at us. Needless to say, you can't riposte bullets. I don't know what I expected. Turns out they don't expect objects to move on their own. On the other hand, babies learn abductive reasoning within the first year after birth. Not sure these people have reached that point yet. Soon, dear friends. Soon. Time for more combat. I just learned about finishers. I've had them this whole time, I just forgot about them after that one pop-up. Imagine a gameplay segment letting me use it in action instead of reading about it. Bottom left, pistol symbol fills up and allows us to deal lethal damage to most enemies. And a large amount of damage to bigger enemies. I'm guessing we'll get different weaponry throughout the game in the full release. You can really get into a good flow during these battles, however. Animations feels fluid and chunky at the same time. The finishers all have a good amount of variety and have a appropriate amount of impact to them as well. This is probably a good point to address the main complaint I've seen in regards to this game. The combat is incredibly simple, to the point where you are insanely unlikely in the demo to actually die. With that said, I very much prefer a well-developed and well-put-together combat system over a overly complex, clunky combat system. Developers have mentioned there being more complexity in the full game compared to the demo, but I would argue the most important factor for a game like this is game length. I'd much rather see the game have a short 2 to 6 hour experience with really solid mechanics than a 10, 15, 20, 30 hour experience where the mechanics are being shoehorned in only to serve as a crux for complexity. The mechanics here needs balancing, but it is satisfying and impactful while playing it right now. Next up, we're told to power up the generator. It's right here on the floor. Putting it into the generator lights up the control panel on the left, where we can now bring out an extension so we can jump over the gap above. Some more lore upstairs. I appreciate them not forcing me to read all of these unless I decide to do so. Got a new enemy here as well. First we'll deal with all the grunts. More and more enemies using unblockable attacks. Big guy is probably hitting really hard. But I hit harder and he's really slow. The art style for this is absolutely amazing though. Our current situation is less awesome. That'll help. Tempest. Probably a friend. Let's keep going right. Just like going upwards when climbing, there's always the option to go right in a side-scroller. Apparently we've been fighting termites. Tempest makes fun of our name, but seems impressed with our weapon of choice. Eventually invited to join before Tempest turns his back on us. A game where I get to make friends? Say no more. If you would like to make friends as well, the link to the demo and other stuff is available down in the description. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.